Thank you, Honorable Deputy Secretary General. It's now my distinct pleasure to welcome all of our guests to this today's event. Thank you. Specifically our directors, those who are attending with us and those who are now virtually joining us. We have virtual members and directors who are joining us outside of this room, and they're signing on, registering. Karibuni sana. We welcome you who are joining us online. Please interact, feel free to chat, ask your questions. We'll consolidate those questions, and we will also be able to answer those questions right at the end of the session. But for our esteemed directors, those who are here and those who are still on the way, this is a very critical event. First of all, we honor you, we recognize your work of service. You've been doing a very hard job. It's not been easy being a director of a security company. You represent the 700,000 private security workforce that we have in this country. This critical workforce is important and vital as part of the national pillars for security in Kenya. And for and on behalf of the Protective and Safety Association of Kenya, which is a registered society under the office of the Attorney General, we want to say thank you for the work that you continue to do. There are several items that we will be discussing as we go forward, and just for a little housekeeping internally, as PROSA, we want to just update you and give you one or two very important updates. The first is the directors, you have been expecting some progress from the Protective and Safety Association of Kenya as far as the current process that is ongoing with the registration or re-registration and vetting of private security companies. There is currently in the High Court of Kenya a suit number E055 that has been raised, and we have enjoyed ourselves as an interested party in that particular suit. So we have, of course, requested for your support as we go forward. For further details on this, please, before you leave the event, or if you want to leave the event, make sure that you meet with one Julius Mawero before you leave, so that you can then endorse your commitment directly to him before you leave the room, and you can be able to engage with him, and he can give you further details about that. And in order for you to leave the room with his blessing, he will also make sure that he attends to you as a PROSAC director and member, a PROSAC FLP. So the gold pin that is a PROSAC director and member and PROSAC FLP is actually available to all directors, and you will receive one from Oweru as we leave. So this is my humble request to you. The matter is ongoing. It will be heard in the month of July, and we will await for the ruling as far as that is concerned. In the meantime, please do not feel pestered or pressured or violated in any way by any individuals who would try to put you under pressure as far as that particular process is concerned. It is in the court. We will not talk about it in this forum because it is a matter that is before the court. Under case number E055 of 2021 in the High Court of Kenya. So that I needed to inform. Number two, thank you, thank you, thank you. Last year, right at the beginning of the coronavirus announcement of the pandemic in this country, you came forth and we provided you with training in conjunction with the Ministry of Health of Kenya, training of trainers. And you were very faithful to go and train others. And because of that, Kenya was able to stand up all security workers in the country, and we were able to teach them how to sanitize, how mask discipline should be observed, and talk about the physical distance, how to wash hands, and because of that, we have saved very many lives because of our pillar of COVID safety and security. This is a critical role that was played by the private security sector and is still being played today. I think whenever you go to any institution or facility, you find a private security guard who is taking temperature, thermal gun, who is asking people to observe the spacing between one another, and that for us is a very critical thing. I'll just mention one parameter just to give you the facts on the ground, that through this team, we were able to provide training to 9,000 police officers. Through this team, the National Gun Owners Association, which is part of the Private Security Congress, and under the direction and leadership and guidance of PROSA, we were able to train 9,000 police officers on how to observe COVID protocols and using coronavirus, even on such items as their firearms. So this is a very critical thing that happened, and we want to again celebrate the directors here. You're responsible. Number 3, I also want to support and encourage the notion that you directors have borne the brunt of the coronavirus. You have been able to carry pending bills from county government, from parastatals, from government institutions. You've been able to carry customers who have been unable to pay their monthly contract values over months and periods of time, and you have faithfully been able to provide protective services to those individuals. We want to recognize that. It's not taken for granted. We know that you're removing this from your corporate coffers, some of you even from your personal pockets, to keep the business going. So we don't think that that is a light matter. We think that is a very, very important matter, and we want to say again, once again, thank you very much for that particular effort. Number 4, we are working very closely in conjunction with the government of Kenya, and I'll allow our national chairman, when he comes up later, to be able to introduce the topic. But we are working hand in glove with national government with regards to matter security, especially for Nairobi County, specifically. I'm just mentioning that. So more information will be available by our national chairman. He's going to come up in terms of the introduction at a later stage and be able to share with us a little more on that in terms of our introductory purposes. So Protective and Safety Association of Kenya, I think I have kind of highlighted to you the internal matters that we felt were of vital importance. We should not only observe, but we should keep on doing. Sometimes you feel alone in the battle, but when you come together like this, you feel that there are more that are gathered among us. Now, for me, I am a student of something called technology. Technology, we all know, is a platinum. And the use of technology has not only flattened the world as we know it. Use of technology has made people very equal. Why? The relevant use of technology has been able to provide us with the ability to experience things in real time. In the area of security, when we start talking into the security environment, we realize that security environments are currently becoming highly incendiary. What do I mean by highly incendiary? Right now, as we speak, Captain Mwenda Mbijiwe, former Air Force, is missing. A security expert trained by the national government of Kenya, millions of shillings which have been put into him, is currently missing in the geographical territory of Kenya. This is somebody who was previously a PROSAC member and who has a lot of experience, even behind enemy lines. Is currently missing. Even if we were to utilize all the resources of the National Police Service as currently constituted, we do not have enough boots on the ground to find Mwenda Mbijiwe, because we are only a few 100,000, let's put it that way, of boots on the ground. Even if we combine the entire effort of the entire private security sector, 700,000, and we start looking, we are still crippled because we are looking just physically. Of course, physically is very important. But through use of technology, we can be able to mesh some of these traces and be able to use and utilize technology to solve current existing problems. Let's call out the elephant in the room. Currently, we have a missing police officer, female in nature, by the name Kangongo, who has murdered 2 men and cannot be found within, again, the national geography of Kenya. What is the missing element? Of course, we have enough human beings, but we don't have sufficient information which is being propagated and disseminated on a technology scale to be able for us to trace immediately that particular character, who has, of course, disguised themselves and is somewhere. It's a dangerous element. Dangerous to society, dangerous to herself. Technology is a flattener. A number of cases in Kenya are now being discovered because of the use of CCTV. Why? Retroactively, CCTV allows us to see what happened. From a forensic perspective, we are able to trace and track what occurred at the incident or at the scene of a crime, a robbery, a burglary, a violent event. Last but not least, the use of technology is not only at the physical aspect, but it is also in the back office. Every single time that you go on digital, even for digital theft, fraud, people who steal your M-Pesa PIN and then drain your account, there are now new ways that technology can be used to track such criminal processes and bring those who are involved in such to the book. As security companies, it is our role to provide protection to our clients and to provide safety or right handling to any person who we are engaged with. And as a result of that, we must use technology. It's not an option. At a national level, following the Westgate terror attack that occurred several years ago, the nation and Republic of Kenya made a decision that this should never happen again. I'm letting you know that because I was part and parcel of the team that was responsible for following up and finding out what exactly happened in Westgate, details of which I may not be permitted to share with you at this moment. And today is not the day for that sharing. All I want to say is that by use of technology today that has been deployed within the national security agencies of this country, such attacks are not being dealt with retroactively. They are being dealt with proactively. In other words, there's a deterrence. There's a detection and a deterrence which is occurring to prevent more terror attacks, shopping malls. And you know it. Or your spouse knows it because when they walk into a room, they feel safe. When you walked into this room, and earlier on, the Guna came up and he gave us the safety aspects and what to do if something happens, where we're supposed to move to, how we exit to the left and to the right in case there's an attack in the front. What happened? We automatically began to feel safe. Bolstering his speech is a very elaborate technological solution for security that completely encompasses this entire installation and is meshed with national security organs. Technology is important. Mine is very brief. And those of you who know me, I don't belabor the point. I'm actually almost done. Technology is a driver. Today, you could be the person with your company, humble, simple, with a few thousand dollars, that is chosen and selected by a national institution to take things one step higher. Your aspect of technology is what is going to make a difference. I want to share one of our corporate customers, Sephora, who is with us in this room. Their distinct advantage when you walk into any of the large supermarkets, that be that Carrefour, Quick Mart, is you find them there. But what are they doing? Are they only providing security services? They're providing both what we call external security services, but they're also providing internal security services through use of technology. That has become their differentiator. That is the game changer. That is what is enabling them to make that extra dime that we so dearly need in the private security sector. I've elaborated and I've talked enough about the use of technology. It now gives me great pleasure to welcome to the stage and to present to us our national chairman of PROSAC, who is going to go through his session briefly before we step into the testimony on using technology by Eliza Stima, and before we bring on our Adapt IT regional executive, Mr. Nasha. It gives me great pleasure to welcome to the podium our national chairman, Mr. Enoch Makanta. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give him a round of applause.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. You know, I was seeing someone like a friend from the boss. I was seeing you for 2 years. 2 years. So, thankful that this we've been able to meet here today. So, I have a few remarks I need to make. One, we lost one us, Mr. Maingi. He got sick and he passed on because of COVID. So, like, those guys are very, very smart guy. Very smart guy. Every time we meet with him, he was very smart. He passed on because of COVID. Maingi was the director of ID security in Saudi. We were in the same building. So, I wish that happened. We just honor him for a few minutes. Thank you. We've been together for a long time, and I think I want to thank everybody for the unity that you had. And I think that's why we have to remember Maingi, simply because Prozac, let me say, the security directors have been together for a long time. We fought so many battles, and when one of us leaves, remember Laura Wenda left. She died in the plane when she was going to Paris, and she left us in a very funny manner. We could just imagine that Laura has left us after we had made like this, and she passed on. The next director that's passed on is Mr. Maingi, and today is all rest. Number two, most of the companies have really suffered in terms of losing contracts. I'm very much aware, I'm also affected. Most companies lost so many contracts, especially in the hotel industry. You are told, well, what are you planning? You have no guess, so what are you planning? And then you are terminated, or you are told, I want to say, poleni sana for losing your contracts, but we thank God that things are opening up, so you'll be able to move on again. And then from there, you get back into business. Secondly, I know many companies have called me personally. They told me, Chairman, I'm pulling out my money. I'm not able to get my money. And it's a lot of money. People are talking of 3 million, 4 million, 5 million. And I've been able to intervene as the chairman. I write a letter on behalf of Prozac to ask the companies to pay you. And the companies are saying, wait a minute, we have no money. Yeah. So I want to say that as Prozac, we've assisted so many companies to be able to get when they get stuck, and I think that's why that chicken is there. Number three, so many companies have been calling me about PSRA. You've been called by PSRA, you've been threatened by PSRA. The truth of the matter is the matter went to court. And I've been telling members, please, the matter went to court. Let somebody threaten you. The matter went to court, and we have a court order. And if you have no copy of that court order, just talk to Prtm so that you are able to get it. And then you explain to your client. Because I know there are people who have provided security in banks. And they were put in the corner because Bazool wrote the letters to banks and told them if somebody is not compliant, he will be thrown out. So one of the Prozac members came crying out, this is the letter, what do I do? And I told him, you simply just write, you take a copy of the court order, the Senate, the parliamentary proceeding that nullified those the rules that were there, so that you are able to accompany everything together. And when he did that, I think the matter was hard. So sometimes, these are some of the things that we normally have. I'm not backbiting Bazool, but we welcome Bazool in the industry. We call him for so many meetings. We met with him in Villarosa. We met with PSIA. He met with the PSIA. He met with the KSIA. Then the guy just turned out to be ruthless to everybody. He was not talking about KK. He was not talking about the big companies, the big five. And we are being told us we are codemen. All those funny language is being used. Anyway, every dog has got in the day. What you say is that let's wait and see. Me, I was personally threatened. I was told that my company will be closed. I told them, me and my company is legally registered. So you cannot tell me my company will be closed. Yeah? If it gets closed, I'll go to court and ask the court who is he to close my company. So I know, even last week, there are members who called me, who told me that they are sending calls from those guys from PSRA. Yeah? The issue is, please just follow what they are telling you. Don't worry. And then at the end of the day, you are able to provide the information they want and you're able to move on. So let's come today. I take this opportunity to welcome you today to this event that's organized by PROSAC and Adapt It. I want to thank the chairman for events, that's Mr. Hello, and Madam Grace for actually putting up this event together. Sometimes you people never know what happens behind the scenes, and the Adapt It team. Things normally happen behind the scenes before you find this event taking place. So we must thank the two. She's the one getting out. That is Grace, and yes, that is Olo. Thank you so much for organizing this event. So as you are aware, PROSAC is one of the leading professional associations. And if you don't know, right now we are over 100 companies that are in PROSAC. These other associations, wanaongea maneno ya 50, yes, I understand imebaki almost like around 10. So I think we are doing very well in terms of how we are pushing on. I know some of you have been asking me elections. But now, the elections demand that we call all members. Elections demand that we call all members. Our constitution is very clear. We cannot call elections with only 10 members, 30 members. But we must, the SG must send a 21 days notice and we are able to call for elections. So the way things are moving on, I think if we realize that we were so lucky in terms of COVID, we can be able to call for a meeting, then we look for a safe venue, then we call for a meeting and we do elections. We are not holding good offices. I know someone commented that you guys were in the office illegally. And we said, of course, now the problem is we can't hold elections because we cover well that we cannot be able to do this. Yeah. So today we are over, I think, 40 security directors who are corporate members, and we believe today, my friend, will be able to talk to us about the new security and innovations, product, and technology that is brought in by AdaptIt. And for those ones who don't know, AdaptIt has a deep sector knowledge and experience, and we are looking forward today, my friend, we are looking forward today to see or to use your experience and knowledge in assisting our members to be able to move this game to another level. Now, for AdaptIt, I want to bring your attention that East Africa is having serious challenges as far as security is concerned. The way South Africa has, the way West Africa has. In fact, West Africa is in shit. They are just in serious problems. Yeah. So West Africa is in shit, total shit. Those who attended the last terrorism training where we had 200 people, and the West Africans were almost fighting on Zoom because they can't agree on the way forward as far as West Africa is concerned. So that's how bad it is. So my friends from AdaptIt, the issue is we have a problem, and the problem revolves on terrorism. The problem revolves on crime. And right now the crime in the house is which one? Crime that is now is which one? Kidnapping. I hope you guys know that. Yeah. You know where your kid is right now. You make sure that you pick your kid from school. You make sure that at the end of the day you know where your wife is. Otherwise, it will be problems. The way my colleague has said, went up to now, he has not been seen. You don't know where he is. If he's alive, wherever you are, Mr. Mwenda, please come back. We want to see you. And we hope that something bad has not happened to Mr. Mwenda. So, my colleague from AdaptIt, please just know that all these things revolving on fraud, revolving on kidnapping require solutions. We are looking upon people like you who can come in and bring solutions. And we hope you are coming in today will be able to help us in terms of understanding how better we can be able to address these solutions. Now, as PROSAC, we endorse you. We endorse you into the market. We know that you are now PROSAC corporate product members. Want you to make sure that you get it. The Kenyan market is a bit tricky, so you don't have to actually give up. We need to have more of this. I think members will agree with me. More of this means you get in. Even me, I remember when I got in training, I ran trainings in Serenity. We ran one training in Serenity, and we spent almost like around 600,000. And I think members were asking me, "You guys, are you think? Are you think? Small company like Victoria, how can you spend 600,000 on buying people breakfast, buying people lunch at the Serenity?" And you know, at the end of the day, it helped my company to be able to reach where it is. And I'm telling you, it's a fact of life, you like it or not, in the Kenyan market, the more people know you, the more you get into the market. The more you hide yourself down, the more nobody will know you. Basically, that's what happens in the Kenyan market. So we expect you to run more of this. That people in the security industry have to understand what is this thing called adapt it. Otherwise, if you make a noise, and nobody will be able to understand what you are talking about. I think I'm delighted to say that we look forward to working with you, and we shall support you. These draft measures have really put so many directors in shifts. I think this place will be full. Our normal house. I think we are the only powerhouse. We are the only, I think, we are the only association that will be called for a meeting. My friend, you'll be surprised the number of people will come. This one, we were a bit careful because of COVID, and that's why we've been able to get the figure that we have. But if it was just a normal meeting, because you could be telling me, because can you reduce these people because now you can't pay? I can't pay. But the last one we had last time, we had so many people. So you really have to understand that because people are running up and down, following up new orders, people are following up their money. These directors talk to me every day. They have problems that are recent because of COVID. And I'm praying God that this thing goes, and then from there we see how things are able to go. Last but not least, I want to thank each of you. I was sick. First of all, I thought it was COVID. And I think since I became the chairman or since I was born, I've never had second sickness. I had pneumonia, and I was down completely, down completely. In fact, first time in my life, I wrote a will. First time, I write a will and tell my children now, there's no time of wasting now. Let's meet in heaven. Yeah? So I want to thank everyone, each of you. I know people called me, Monica called me, people called me just find out how are you doing. And I want to thank each of you because you really stood with me and stood with my family, and I was able to go through this thing. And I want to confirm to you today, I'm fine, I'm doing well. I don't think I'm in the ICU or I'm in any danger. I'm able to move on together with you, and let's see how we're able to bring closer. And as we want to say, together we move together, things will go well. You've seen the steps we've made since we came together as COSAC. You can imagine what would have happened with us if we are not organized. You can just imagine what we've gone through. Just very tough, yeah. Being together, things move on well. And the good thing is now, when we came together with PSIA, and now we formed the Congress plus these other associations, and now we can talk together as one team as we move together. Basically, that's what's required. Unless I've forgotten something, I want to thank everybody and officially say that you are welcome, and my friends. Let's see how adaptive we get in the market, because everybody does what everybody's looking to do. Those few remarks, I want to say, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. As I advance on the podium, I'm now going to break protocol with your permission, because in order of seniority, I should actually have invited him prior to inviting our chairman. But it gives me great pleasure to invite our Vice Chairman, the Protective and Safety Association of Kenya, Mr. Franklin Mugendi. Kindly come up and give us your brief remarks. We will be very remiss. He is a chevening scholar. They call it chevening in the United Kingdom. So he's one of our chevening scholars, and he will tell you a little more about himself and give us his few remarks. Karibu.
Thank you, Chairman, COSAC, SG, Governing Council members present here today, directors present, our new partners. Good morning. Yeah, indeed, the SG has looked at protocol. I didn't know that I was meant to speak as the chairman, but I take it as a sign of goodwill, and I'm just going to share briefly so that I'm not accused of breaching the protocol. My name is Franklin Mugendi, and I operate a company called Omega Risk Management. It is now for 12 years active operations, and is based on Kitaruma Commodore offices. As the name suggests, we support businesses in addressing their everyday challenges in terms of risk mitigation, vulnerability tests, and so on and so forth. But this morning I stand before you as the vice chair of the association to resonate with you, to agree with you, to understand our predicament, and importantly see how we can support each and every one of us during these very difficult circumstances and times. And as the chair said, it would be full house, but if not for this unique time to find ourselves in. All said and done, we are still together. In fact, the togetherness that we should be embracing is one that needs or seeks to uplift those who are down, seeks to support those who have come with new ideas and innovations, and seeks to harmonize our thoughts so that we can pitch the togetherness brought together by common purpose. So my challenge towards all this morning is to think of how can we renovate ourselves for the sake of continuity. And as security organizations and security professionals, we need to realize that times have changed and that the years before, business as normal is wrong. That our eyes need to be opened to the challenges, but importantly, to solutions, because that's what we offer solutions. The time of sitting back and crying for is over. It's a biometric. And as an organization, we need to be at the forefront of ensuring that we are there to support those who are coming up. It gives me a lot of appreciation to see innovation being treated as a way of work. It is not too late, it's a good start. And for those who have come to do this kind of a sitting, we all need to take a step back and see how we can synergize and write on that innovation as a way of making our businesses more valuable, making our businesses more profitable, but importantly, making our businesses more people-driven and adding value to the national grid. So let me appreciate each and every one of us who have been able to find them to come here today, and looking really forward to having a very, very good engagement, conversation, importantly creating networks so that when we leave here, you will go knowing someone else who is able to offer you something that you may not necessarily be able to offer. And when we do that, our businesses will benefit more from our togetherness than from our diversity. So thank you so much, SG and the rest of the team, and really looking forward to having a very good, conducive discussion for today. So,
for information, the director that works with Mugendi, Mr. Njama. Mr. Njama is a corporate member of PROSAC. I hope you know Mr. Njama. You know Mr. Njama? Mr. Njama is campaigning in Kiambu, and Kiamba. Yeah, Kiamba is pushing this seat, the former seat for Mr. Koinange. Please let's pray for him. Let's pray for him. If this guy gets that seat, I can tell you for free, I think we know one of us is parliament. You people you may not know, I picked the microphone to explain this. When we went to parliament to go and push for that bill, we went through stress. Me, Delano, I think the treasurer, it was stressful, I'm telling you. When we went to parliament, the question was, all these parliamentarians, there are people there who want security companies. We could see them. Yeah? We could see them. I'm telling you, we could see them. Yeah? And these guys were telling us, You know, you guys are supposed to be having one of you inside the parliament so that at the end of the day, when an issue comes up, there's someone who can do it, who can be able to help you. Yeah? And he will tell you what fitina is going on in parliament. Because I can tell you, when we went to parliament and we were told now, can you give us a presentation? One member called us and told us, my friend, our parliament is not a place to write one. It's not a place you come and you say, you know it was, you know it were, you know it was. No, no, no. When you come to parliament, you must have facts. When you come to parliament, you must be brief. Then there's the other document that you attach. Now, actually have the information that's required. So the guy actually coached us. Then from there, we got somebody who was able to put up that document properly. And I can tell you, when we went to parliament, it is Mutaba who presented, I think, the first session. Yeah, 10 minutes. Why we don't agree with that thing. Then from there, I had to give a summary, and the learner had to give impacts. By that time, I can tell you, everybody was satisfied. All you could see, all members of parliament are satisfied. But the problem is, we couldn't understand satisfied. What do they write? Yeah. When they went to Mombasa, we were told again some things were happening, they may change the decision. But the question is, if one of us gets into parliament, yeah, and you know 2022, I'm also prepared again. So don't forget. 2022, I'm also prepared. So once we get into that house, I think it will be better for everybody because now we can push some of these problems. We can push the agendas for everybody. Yeah. So let's pray for Jama. I was in Kiamba, he's doing well. That's one thing I want to tell you, he's doing extremely well. Yeah, he's doing well. Chances of Jama getting that seat is like almost 70%. Let's pray that the guy is able to navigate, and if he gets it, then from there we see how things are going to go. Basically, have they picked the chairman for security? No. Have they picked the chairman in parliament? Is anybody aware? They picked somebody. The Lemuru MP. Yes. Yes. We are looking at something like that. So the guy gets there and we see how we can push him to be able to get back that seat that he had. Then from there, when Maganga gets there, he hands over to me.
Thank you, Bwana Chairman, for those political remarks. Now, we do have on standby, confirm if he is ready on Teams. As Elijah Stima, the human resource lead for G4S, comes online, I'd like to remind all our members, if you're here, PROSAC paid-up member, and you do not have your essential services pass, there's no excuse. Please see me after this event, and I'll allow you to apply officially, and we can issue immediately. You're not supposed to be restricted in any of your activities, day or night, red zone or no zone, with regards to security.
I'm going on camera.
Good. We are waiting for you, Elijah. Also want to thank our chairman, Enoch Makanga, because apart from essential services passes, we as PROSAC have been very, very privileged to be able to offer some certain benefits of great value to our members, not just the essential services passes, but if you are in requirement of a firearms license, kindly apply to the office of the chairman. We have training that is occurring on a continual basis, and this Saturday, for those who need to be IPPA certified, you can be able to register for the event and train with the rest of licensed firearm holders within the Protective and Safety Association. Elijah, I think we can see you.
Thank you.
Good. You look more handsome on camera than you do in real life.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Please take it ahead from there. We welcome you to the event and thank you for joining us online. Please go ahead. Ladies and gentlemen, with a warm round of applause, let's welcome Elijah Stima from G4S.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I know Makanga very well. But let me start by greeting everybody. Good morning and how are you? Thank you so much for inviting me to this PROSAC meeting. Makanga has not invited me to register for this meeting, so I request him to extend an invitation and I will be able to join. I have been talking to Nyasa. There's an echo coming through. I don't know if they're hearing me. You can hear me fine. Thank you.
Don't worry about the echo.
Okay. I've been talking to Nyasa about Easyroster and what Easyroster can do and not do. In terms of managing people, especially in the security industry, the deployment of Easyroster has helped us to manage two things I want to talk about. One is all the issue about leaves. You all know that we have several types of leaves. There is the weekend off reliever, there is the annual leave reliever, there is the sick off reliever, there is the absenteeism with approval, and there is absenteeism without approval, we call it AWOL. There is maternity leave, compassionate leave. I don't know whether you wonder how you manage such a type of leaves all at once and make sure that you are paying the correct wages to people who are on work. So settling or rostering these people is very critical. We have been doing it through using spreadsheets, black books in the office. We depend on memory for the supervisor or manager to tell you who took leave which year, which month, who is on off. Quite cumbersome. The use of this roster gives you memory in terms of managing leaves. You all know that leave is a cost, very huge liability for an organization. The better you reconcile leave, the better your balance sheet. To all those who manage business, you know that leave is legal, it's provided in the law, it's earned, you have to pay it. So if any staff is not honest about leave or absenteeism from work, that's a huge cost to the business. Easyroster has that solution. It will be able to help you manage leave seamlessly. Number two thing I want to talk about is working hours. In Kenya, we have a number of shift arrangements. You will be having 6-1 or 5-2, and this will be giving you 12 hours of work. There are assignments where you have 8-hour work, a 3-shift arrangement. Managing working hours is not easy because it has got a cost implication. One cost implication is what we call late hours. These are hours you would not plan for at all. Double overtime. The security officer doesn't turn up. You need to get somebody from leave. They were not prepared to be at work. Then there is secondly the normal overtime. We do know that we need to pay 8.36 hours to give us the 52 hours required in the private security service wages order. And then there is a balance of 3.06. How do you pay these normal hours if they are not rostered properly? So when you talk about late hours, double overtime, normal hours, if you have not properly rostered through Easyroster, it might be difficult for you to aggregate all the payable time that the employee has worked for. Now, you don't want to pay for hours that have not been worked on. you will want to reduce the overtime, which is a premium pay, as much as you can. No more overtime must be properly aggregated so that there is no qualification of records. With all this put into a Easyroster system, then you are able to integrate the pay for hours with your overtime. And that integration then will give you a net pay to the employees. So to manage rostering, making safe use of work, monitoring the overtime, no more overtime, eliminate totally the late hours, you need a system that helps you to do that. My use of Easyroster has proved efficient. It has one or two of its challenges that I want to highlight as well. One of it is the usage. You need a person who is tech savvy, who is able to ensure that they understand the system. I think you all know garbage in, garbage out. What you put in the system is what you will get. If you get somebody who gives you accurate data into the system, then you will be able to get a better outcome. So those who will be managing the system, rostering and doing all that, must be people well trained and have got sufficient computer knowledge. I'm not talking about a graduate, but I'm talking somebody who has got better usage of computer skills. Challenge is that we promote our security officers to this role, and sometimes you find that they don't have the proficiency, or they don't have, what do I call it, the better way of appreciating technology. That becomes a problem. Remember, leave and working hours affect the contractual obligation that you pay for. What do I mean? The payroll is largely about how many hours did you work? No more hours. How many hours did you work overtime? When were you away from work? Do we need to pay you when you are away or not? How do you handle issues of absenteeism or employees who decide to work? So if you want a better, efficient, accurate payroll, you need a system that can collect the data, and that data fits into what you need to pay. System, as it were, it has got a huge impact on how you manage your payroll. And I want to believe that all that are in attendance know the importance of payroll. People cost is their highest expense in the security industry. We're a people industry. Our product is people. Must be priced properly, must be charged properly, and you must be accurate on how you compensate them. The third issue I want to talk about is all about general management through the use of Easyroster. You could be able to have Easyroster integrate with other systems. For instance, if you have an HR ERP, it can be Sage, it can be Javelin. I don't know which ones you have. It is more seamless for you to do your database reports. You will be able to present a better people report when you have a system that integrates with Easyroster. I was telling Yasa the other day that the integration part is where the value is. Why? Because I want my finance manager to be aware of the expense for the people that we have so that he's able to give me reports. I want the industrial relations manager to be aware of issues that we have of indiscipline picked up from his roster, put into the HR ERP system, and presented for purposes of decision making. I think that's all I wanted to say. I was given only 10 minutes. Nyasa told me not to come there because I eat a lot of mandases. He was afraid that if I come, other participants will not have mandas. That is enough for them. That's why I wanted me to be online. Thank you. Available for questions.
Thank you very much, Elijah. I'm just going to put the camera on so you can see the room. Can you see it?
I see nobody board.
Oh, okay. You're seeing it from YouTube. Great. I don't know if there's any questions for Elijah.
No questions from the room, Yasha?
Okay, great. Well, I think we would like to thank you, Elijah, for your time and for letting us experience what it is like on a day-to-day basis using Easyroster in a blue chip organization like G4S. Thank you very much for your time. We are sending a bucket of mandazi just for you.
Thank you, I'll die off.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Goodbye. And as we said initially, this is going to be a mixed reality meeting. So we will be having more online speakers joining us in this group. Apart from our virtual participants, those who are participating with us online through the very innovative prototype ProSAS portal. Karibuni sana, welcome to today's event. It is now my distinct pleasure and privilege to invite to go through the topic of bringing technology to the forefront of the security business, Mr. Nyasha Musekwa. Karibuni sana, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome him with a round of applause.
Thank you very much. I know that my name sounds strange. You are wondering from which part of Eastern I'm from. I'm actually from Southern. I'm from Zimbabwe. My name Nyasha Musekwa Nyasha means God's mercy. So you are walking in grace. Is it working? Oh, grace is here. Great. So I just wanted to take some time to explain who Adapt IT is and explain where we're coming from an organization perspective, so that we can then engage and talk to, what is the future of the manned guarding industry here in Kenya, and what are the trends that are happening all over the world. So just for your information, Adapt IT is headquartered in South Africa. That's where we're listed on the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. But our office here in Riverside Drive takes care of East Africa, and I lead the region as the regional executive. We have over 1,000 employees across all our offices, and not only are we here on the African continent, but we also have presence in Australasia and Europe. What do we focus on from an Adapt IT perspective? Industry-wise, we're split up into these industries: education, telecommunications, hospitality, manufacturing, financial services, energy, public sector, and what we call our, the other industries where we're working in tandem because our software works so well across industry. Why do we, what is our value proposition to the market? Our value proposition is very simple, right? We are an IP-based business, which means that we develop and sell our own software, right? We then obviously work with the likes of Microsoft, Smart Technologies, who are also here hosting you, the Oracles of this world, the IBMs of this world, to further enhance our products, right? But at the core of what we do is develop our own software. So when you're talking to Adapt IT, you're talking to the owner or the original equipment manufacturer. And that's very important for you guys because you might have said, oh, if G4S is using Easyroster, how can my small organization use Easyroster, right? The point of the matter is that we are in an environment where we can build and create software for all levels of organization. And the quality of the software does not change just because of the size of your organization. Now, coming to the topic of the day, how do we bring technology to the forefront of the security organization? And I want to just start off with a story. We were talking about schools, and I guess everywhere I go these days, I don't know why. I think the older we're getting, the more we romanticize our high school's life. How many of you had encyclopedias at school? At our school, I think we had maybe 3, and it was always a hard time to get a hold of the encyclopedia so you could do your research for whatever project you had to do. But the Encyclopedia Britannia is a well-known brand, and you can see from the timeline that is shown here that, first published in 1768, and the last published encyclopedia that they did was in 2010. Now, you can tell that from 1768 to 1994, there was not much change in the encyclopedia business, except they were getting bigger, making more money. Maybe they were even now the fat cats, right? Come 1994, there's a change. Microsoft and the Windows PC is everywhere. Today, I can guess that in your home, there's probably 3 devices. There's probably a PC, a laptop, a tablet. I'm not counting the phones, right? So now you go from the store of knowledge is not in this encyclopedia, in this book. Now it's available on CD-ROM. There's some guys here I can see, maybe you even know floppy disks, but they never did that on floppy disks because you would have had many floppy disks. So they moved with Microsoft, partnered, created their first encyclopedia on CD-ROM, which is brilliant, gave it away for free, right? And people connected with the brand. But a couple of years later, in 2000, Wikipedia, which is now the standard, the gold standard for, we don't even say encyclopedia anymore, we say Wikipedia, right? Comes in and disrupts the market further. And Britannica in itself is also changing. They've gone from we only print to now we've got digital version. And by the time they get to 2010, they're like, we don't need to print anymore. So I know that sometimes when we talk about technology and industry, we always talk about the sad stories of the companies that are not there anymore. I'm sure some come to mind. BlackBerry, even Nokia, Kodak, you know. These are names that we grew up with. I mean, taking a picture, taking it to the store, waiting for them to develop, you know, the negatives, you know. That's recent. It's not, right? But this is actually a good news story about how you can change and how you can move towards a new way of working, a new business model. So, how about you guys? What's disrupting you? And I wanted to just play this video. I hope it's going to play.
Real life.
Our number one priority is keeping employees safe.
There's nothing compared to the way that Spot steps and moves around objects.
Traditional robots, it's impossible for them to get where we need them to go.
Spot allows us to conduct our asset inspection tasks very repeatedly and regularly.
It's going to increase productivity.
While also keeping our employees out of harm's way.
I believe that the opportunities and the possibilities are literally endless.
Now you want to go buy one of those, right? How many of you guys have dogs as part of your operations? And does anyone have dogs as part of your operations? Most people do, right? And Spot just changed that. But how much is Spot? Does anyone know? Does anyone hazard a guess how much that dog is going to cost you? How much is a normal dog? 10,000. Not even close. Spot costs $75,000, right? So $75,000 will get you Spot. But think about this, right? How much was the laptop or computer in 1994? Does anyone remember? It was actually more around $4,000 or $5,000, right? How much is a laptop today? In Germany? $500, $400, right? Yeah, you can get the XUK refurb for maybe even 20,000, yeah. So let's say 1994 to 2021. How many years is that for the maths proficients, guys? 17 years. About 24 to 21? 27 years. So in 27 years, you've gone from a multiple of 4,000, 500, 400, $200 a laptop. Do you actually need a laptop? No, because you've got, oh, I don't have my phone there. You've got your phone. So when you see Spot and you say $75,000, that doesn't look right. It's going to be a while till it disrupts my organization. The truth today, if no one has told you, I'm sorry to say, and maybe this starts our friendship at a rocky place, but it's a lie. This technology is coming and it's coming fast. So will you be like Britannia, encyclopedia that embraced technology and partnered with technology to move itself towards a place where they've got a good news story? Or will you be like Kodak and bury your head in the sand? So there's three questions I want us to answer today. How will the role of security officers change as technology becomes more powerful? I think today you've seen it. The question also is very relevant during a pandemic like now, when people don't want people. They want the service, but they don't want people. So what do? Can we completely trust technology to keep people safe? I hear from what Dylan was saying, in search of someone, you've got the manpower, but you need the technology, right? And will there be even a need for manned guarding in the not too distant future? What is your feelings when you read? Very minimal. Anybody else? So, if you saw my first slide, I said people plus tech. I didn't say tech, right? So, people plus tech is actually correct. And for those that follow these kind of things, this is a study done by one of the larger consulting companies, McKinsey. And they're saying, in terms of digital readiness, so the darker the green, that's where the more digital an industry is going to become. Professional services, which is where all of you are, is still here for some core change, right? We still want our askari opening our gate. Now, I lived in South Africa for a long time, so you've got a remote control gate. Gate opens, gate closes. But guess what? The bad guys decided, well, as soon as the gate opens, I'll slip inside. Or, because there's a sensor, we'll just block the sensor and the gate won't close. So manned guard makes you feel safer, right? I like the automation. I would still prefer the electric gate with the manned guard. That's a personal opinion. But I think that this is where we're going, and we need, as an organization or as an industry, we need to embrace technology in that way. And the way we look at it should be very simple. And there's two, I'm trying not to be too technology heavy, but there's two things that we need to take away from today. One is, there's what we call the Internet of Things, IoT, right? Where everything in our home, everything at work is becoming internet enabled, and Smart is going to talk about their biometric sensors and stuff like that. Things are becoming internet enabled. That means they're connected to the internet, and if they're connected to the internet, the question is, where are your manned guards? So, do they become part of the connection, or do they fight the connection? right? So an example of that obviously is access control. You guys, you've seen everyone has tags. You tag in, tag out. We know we don't need a book anymore, right? But in most buildings today, guarded by you guys, we are still filling in books. But it's possible for you to take my fingerprint, take a picture, and I walk in and I give you my phone number as a detail, right? The next thing is artificial intelligence or AI. And AI is very interesting because people think of it as a one-stop solution, and it actually isn't. And it's very, very broad. And I'm just going to really just look at it from one perspective. 1942 was when CCTV was first created, right? Or came to market, not first created, came to market. As something that you could do, you could use as a private organization, wasn't limited to governments only. 1942, today, even I can have a camera in my house and I can watch what's happening in my house from my mobile phone, right? So what does that mean? That means that the assets that are there in malls and office buildings, etc., can now be taken into a different place, and the recognition of threads on that camera can be computer powered. And they're computer powered using artificial intelligence. The picture of the gentleman who's missing or the lady who's being looked for is inserted into the database. And every time you walk in here at Serena to get your temperature checked, they take a picture and then the heat. As soon as they take that picture, it goes, ask the database, is this person a good guy, bad guy? He's on the good guy list, let him through. That is how many steps away from today, where your Ascari is got a list. Then there's John Monkey, then there's Monkey John, then there's Masharia Monkey, and. But it's the same person, right? So how does artificial intelligence start helping you and take you to the next step? Now, I know that, when we talk about technology, all you guys as directors see is cost, cost, cost. But let me tell you that there's actually a revenue side of things. When you decide to take your people and you add technology to it, right? Then you get to a point where you can sell that over to your customer. So that cost becomes a revenue item because a customer is willing to pay for that extra service. So part of what I've done here is just look at some of the market applications for IoT. So asset tracking is a big thing. You guys already, through your vehicles, are taking assets from one place to the next, right? You're either taking people, you are moving with people, you're protecting people, you are moving my precious cargo, right? You are guarding it. You might even be guarding it in one place, but I need to know that it's in that place. It hasn't left that place, right? So asset tracking becomes a very viable solution for you as a product to take to market. Not as a thing that I have bought that's costing me money, but as a thing that you take to market. And one of the drivers for the cost reduction in IoT, and I really want you guys to take some time to research that pricing from a technology perspective is actually going down. Complexity is going high. Meaning that just like we talked about the laptops for $4,000, now you can get a laptop for $200. In fact, you don't need a laptop, you can buy a smartphone, right? And a smartphone for $300 sometimes is better than a laptop, right? In terms of spec. And one of the drivers for IoT you find is that the cost of data, so your megabit is going down, right? But not only that, the devices that you use to track these things, the cost of those things went from $10 to now some of them are even, 0.2 cents on the US dollar. So the thing that drives this innovation for you to realize it from a revenue perspective will be not your lack of knowledge, but your lack of research. So being out here to read and hear where things are going is very important. So let's talk about AI. And I want to really just talk about, kind of predictive security incidents. So today, most of the buildings that you guard, most of the things that you do, you are predicting, so you are reacting to a security solution, to a security issue. What if we got into a stage where we predicted and we understood some of the things that happen before something happens so that we can try and prevent something from happening? And this is part of what AI can do for you. And this is something that, from a revenue perspective, again, can boost your revenue because it can be an additional piece of, I'll give you a man guard, I'll give you a camera that's connected to my AI that tells me what is happening in your place. So if I see sudden movement, I let the guard and control center is alerted as well. Or, and this is something that, I hope ProSite will actually take on as an initiative, is you all have incident books, right? Everyone here, how many members you said you had? Yes, 110 corporate members have incident books. Yes. Now, imagine all those incident books put on one database. Given access, so if you're a member of ProSite, you have access for free because you're adding to that database. Right next door is the Metropole CRB. That's what they do, right? They get data of how much we spend and our debt. They get it from the banks and then they send it back to the banks. So ProSite, as members, could take all the incidents books, put them onto one database, right? And as members require information where they are not present, they can withdraw from that information and charge for it. ProSite members could charge their own customers for access to that database. So when I decide that I'm now over, when he's ascended into government and I want to follow, then I want to buy a house in Karen, and then I say, but what's the security situation in Karen? Why must I go and find Delano, call this person, that person? Why can't I go to the ProSite website, pay 100 bob, 200 bob to get a report to tell me what the situation in Karen is? It's possible today. You've got it physically, you don't have it digitally. That's a way to start making money today with your own information. So I want to just close off with this. There are 5 things that I think you need to be looking at within your organization. And one of them we'll talk about in more detail with Daniel presenting from South Africa, is how do you harness your employees, both from a talent perspective and from an efficiency perspective, right? How do you make the people that you have today more efficient, right? And what are the things that you need to do that? How do we just talked about building a platform where you are now cooperating as a membership instead of competing, right? Now you're all making money from being together. Powerful stuff. Turning that data, those incident books, into assets, right? Now you actually, it's an asset that you can sell. Looking at your operational excellence, again, through the biometric that Smart is going to talk about, and through Easyroster, we'll be able to help with that. But then last but not least, which is I think the most important is, how do you adapt your value proposition to your customers? To say, I might be giving you this as Sky, or I might be, investigating this issue for you. But let me tell you about the other things that I could add to your to this engagement. And this comes from the ability to draw from technology. So, because I'm talking and talking and talking, and I think the base of the conversation is really around taking knowledge into and taking data into information, I want to leave you with this quote: if you have the right knowledge representation, problem solving becomes easy. Are you not all problem solvers? This is what we hire security for, to solve our problem. Okay, so with that, I would thank you very much. We will engage further throughout. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you, Marshall. A round of applause as he continues. And I think we are making good progress. Today we have learned about the Internet of Things. We've also learned about artificial intelligence. I want to let you know that at the core of national security in Kenya, these are some of the technologies that are already in adoption to counter terrorism. A simple example is the CCTV cameras that we see sprawled around the major cities of Kenya. Nairobi, Mombasa, all interlinked, all engaged, all active, using artificial intelligence. So this is, for us, a very critical part in terms of understanding the solutions that we're talking about. From a process perspective, you will recall at the beginning of the coronavirus pandemic, we actually went into a season and a series of activities geared at bringing us into what we call a control and command center. I'm being told that the microphone is on, so we can either do 1960s style. You know 1960s style? It's called, where I come from, in French, we say Vema. Then also we have the guys from Malakisi, Mungoma, who are wanasema, unanisikia. Can you hear me? Okay, before our next presenter comes on board, and I'm asking him to just very quickly sanitize the microphone over there as he puts together his headpiece. I'm going to ask everybody to quickly stand up, be outstanding. Remember, in security, you should always be alert. If we start hearing the sound of AK-47 on full automatic, what is the first thing you're going to do? Go down. We have an answer over here. What would you do? Run. Okay. So we will say run, but we won't run. We will do running in what we call trotting fashion. Does anybody know how to trot? Trot. Run means full flight. And for the ladies in high heels, you can injure the man who is behind you. So running is not recommended. But trotting is okay, because with a trot, you can get to the average. So I can see Waweru is doing a good trot over there. Can we all emulate Waweru? Let's trot. We need to get that blood circulating. So if it is sound of gunfire out there, we will trot to the right. Who is stopping? Or we will be on toes. Or we will trot to the left. Okay? So trotting. That way we don't fall over one another, but we move out in a very swift manner, leaving all things behind. Easy, easy, easy. Please take your seats. Please take your seats. Again now, I know we did want our ladies to be introducing us as they come up on the podium, but the like the time, So I'm now going to take this opportunity to introduce Prof. Smart. Are we ready, Smart?
Yes,
Mr.
we are.
Mr. John Ngoloma. Let's give him a round of applause as he takes the podium.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. That was a wonderful presentation from Nyasha, that is Adapt IT. They are one of our partners. We work closely together. So I'm just going to give a brief about smart applications, and from what Nyasha has introduced, how we're going to complement and work together with PROSAC. Of course, you know very well that right now, technology is the way to go. And economies globally are using technologies to drive each and every day, and of course to run businesses day to day. And with technology, the world has become a global village, as you know. So let me just go straight to it. Okay, so I'll just give a brief of who we are. Smart Applications International Limited. So we are an ICT services company, and we have been in the industry for the last 16 years. Of course, providing technology solutions, and our purpose is to create a smarter society through world-class innovative technology solutions. So innovation is our end game. And as you know right now, with a lot of disruption that is happening in the world, the way to go, of course, is to have technology. And technology is not coming in to take away our jobs, but it's coming in to help us to become more effective, to be more efficient, and of course to complement the processes, because we have even more time in our hands, so we can be able to have much more output in our day-to-day activities. So currently as an organization, we are managing a database of 1 million members, and we are in other parts of the country, of Africa, as I've been mentioning, as we move along. And in terms of our value proposition, we provide easy, intuitive, automated solutions for healthcare administration, and we're not just doing for healthcare, but we are also in other sectors of the economy, as I'll be speaking about. So the key, the first one is biometric identification. This is to ensure that you are able to positively identify your populations, and of course your members, in this case also your employees. So through biometrics, we have different modes that we are using, but largely we are using the fingerprint, which is widely adopted in the world. And then there's also electronic data and rules management. As you know right now, there's so much information in the workplace and a lot of data. So what do you do with that data? You want to be able to use it to see where you are coming from and where you are going as an organization. Data can help you to make informed decisions. And in this case, you can be able to do that through the trends that you are seeing, and of course through the information and the data that you are collecting in the workplace. And of course, we encompass the member. We also have the healthcare service provider and the scheme administrator. This is now for our flagship solution. I believe that maybe some of you here have interacted with the smart card for identification. When you go to hospital, you are requested to place your fingerprint. So we are the ones who provide that technology and working with the various insurance companies within the country. And we also have the operational efficiency, because I know that is something that is very critical, reduce costs to ensure that you are able to achieve savings at the end of the day, and of course data insights. In terms of our footprint and where we are, currently in 9 countries in Africa, with Kenya being the parent country. And the beauty of all the solutions that we provide, they are locally made. And that shows that in terms of support, we also provide guaranteed support. So every time we provide a system, I know that you can get the best system in the world. You can even go, because I know I've seen people who have gone abroad to acquire systems, but then the biggest challenge sometimes is the support. Sometimes you call people and then you find that the difference in the time zones. Maybe it's morning here, maybe back in the country where you purchase the system, it's at night and you're not able to get the timely support. But for us, the support is real time and of course 24/7. So Kenya is the parent country, and we are in all the East African countries, all the way to Zambia, that is in the south, and we are also expanding to other parts of Africa. So as you can see, we have that Pan-African outlook, and this year we started operations in 2 countries, that is Malawi and DRC. Of course, now in the coming months, we are also expecting to open operations in other parts of the continent. Now, I want to speak about the time and attendance system. So I know Mashallah has spoken about the Internet of Things and all that. So this is a biometric system, and it's a very simple and reliable and fast attendance management system. And we have easy to use biometrics. So the options that are available, we have face recognition and we also have fingerprint. I know that right now with COVID, I know people are shying away from touching surfaces and like, but I know that that is a directive from the Ministry of Health, and of course we have to honor that. So what we have introduced is contactless identification through the use of biometrics, that is face recognition. So in terms of clocking in or access control, for access control, maybe you want to secure specific office locations. Like let's say if you have a server room or there's a cash office or just a sensitive office within the organization, you want to secure that. So you don't have to touch any device by placing your fingerprint. So you just present your face without touching the device and you are able to get authenticated. Either you clock in or clock out, or you are able to access a specific office location. So that is the advantage, and for fingerprint, it's a very simple system. So you don't even have to dwell there. You just tap your fingerprint and you're able to get access to the area. And of course, access is only for those who are authorized. So if you're registered to access that area, then you're able to go in. And the system covers access control. This is for making sure that you control access to specific areas. There's also guard patrol. So for guard patrol, you have the guards, and you want to ensure that they have been able to go through the area within the shift. So let's say if you're supposed to cover like 2 floors, the guard patrol system also has geolocation. So you can tell at any one given time where the guard was. So in case there is any breach or maybe something happens, you can tell that the guard was in this particular area. And then what is the protocol that they're supposed to observe? Maybe depending on the time intervals, this is where you're supposed to be at this time. So you can be able to quickly raise that because the system stores all the logs. Then we also have visitor management. I know that we have a lot of visitors that come to organizations. And as we are manning the main entry point, you want to be sure who has come in. Because I know that it's one thing for a visitor to come into an organization and say that they want to speak or they have an appointment with the HR manager. But the moment they get there, they happen to sneak in and want to go and see the managing director, and they don't have an appointment. Or, let's say the chairman, and they didn't have an appointment for that moment. So what happens with the visitor management, you are able to issue a card to a visitor, that is an RFID card or a radio frequency card, and then as they are going in to that particular office, you find that it's secured with an access control system. So you tap it and you're able to go. So if you are authorized to go to the HR maybe department, then you are able to gain access there. But if you decide maybe to become crafty and you decide to go to the managing director's office, then the card will not allow you access to that area because it's configured only to the specific location. Then the system can be able to cater for single or multiple interconnected locations. So it centralizes all this information. An example, if let's say the main or the head office is in Nairobi and you have other branches in other parts of the country. Let's say you have Mandera, there is another one in Mombasa. So the person who is seated at the head office can be able to access the information comfortably without having to send somebody to get that information. So this reduces on the cost, the administrative cost, because you are sure you are only dealing and you are able to get access across the network. Then in terms of integration, this is something that is very critical because right now organizations I know have adopted systems and solutions. So you want to be able to have systems that are able to speak to each other. So you can integrate the system to the HR system, to the ERP system. We also have the Easyroster system where we can integrate the system. So whatever information you are getting is being transmitted or relayed in real time. Like for time and attendance, you want to compute, the system automatically computes the number of hours that have been worked. So that data can be relayed now to, let's say like the Easyroster system or the payroll system, and can compute and work out your payroll. And of course, the reports and analytics on attendance, you can be able to get that. Then the benefits of the system are the accurate data because it's automated and online, so you are sure anybody who accesses a specific place, you are sure that it's the bona fide employee or the visitor who was along that area because you are using biometrics in this case. And of course, it eliminates body patching. So for body patching is whereby maybe we are writing on a book manually. So I can send anybody to go and record on my behalf. But with a biometric system, you're sure you have to present a feature. In this case, either the fingerprint or your face. So you are sure that the employee or the person reported to that particular area. And then this, of course, will promote punctuality effortlessly because people are aware and they are sure the time they reported to work. So the system will provide that visibility because there's also improved employee accountability because all the audit trails, everything that happens in the system is stored. Therefore, you can be able to use it anytime. Maybe there's an issue, so you can just log into the system. And then it also provides even the employees access. So everyone within the organization, because I know that we have, let's say, like the administrator, the HR has visibility across the organization. We have the line managers or the supervisors. They can also have visibility. Just log into the system and they see what is happening within my department. Before maybe the HR raises an issue and says that maybe your people are reporting to work late. So the supervisor can check into the system and they can be able to address that. Centralization in terms of reporting, which reduces administrative costs. You don't have to send somebody to go and collect that data because it's coming and it's being collected centrally. And then the easy integration capabilities, as I had mentioned, and it's a very simple system, so it's ideal for any office of any size, that is in terms of a modern office. So that is now for the time and attendance system. I'll just go quickly to the HR management system, which is also a system that can be complemented, and it provides attendance tracking. So you can be able to configure the shifts and the schedules, because I know that there are so many shifts that we have within organizations. So with that, you can configure based on the time that each and every employee is required to report to work. And of course, you can set them up in the different schedules. Then for employee management, you are able to have a database of all your employees, including their documents. So you can digitize. If it is employment records, you have that in place. Education records as well, you can capture them and store them. So at any time you want to be able to just check in your database, maybe a given employee, quickly log into the system and you can check. If an employee updates their information of their data, you also have that you can update on the system. And of course, payroll management, as I have mentioned, leave management, which is also critical. So employees are able to apply for their leave, the different types of leave, as was mentioned earlier. So the system provides for that. And last but not least, goal setting and employee performance. Because at the end of the day, you want to see and to assess the performance of every employee within the organization. So everyone is going to have that visibility. So before even your supervisor comes to have the one-on-one in terms of review, each and every employee can have access to the system and they see how they've been performing. And of course, this is also going to help within the department. So that is now for the HR management system, and this can be complemented by our staff productivity solution. So our staff productivity solution will provide visibility, and it will also help to track incidents. So is there an incident that has been raised within the organization? You can quickly log into the system. So you can check. I know that Nyasha has spoken about that. So we also have a web-based system that can track all issues within the organization. So quickly log into the system, and then you have a database of every instance and every issue. And of course, now it is also tagged to the person who is supposed to handle the issue. So if let's say yes, John are the one who has raised the issue, and it's supposed to be handled by Nyasha, a notification is shared to Nyasha, and he knows that what he's supposed to do, and of course the action that he's supposed to take all the same. Then our data analytics, as you know, there's a lot of data right now within organizations. And what can we be able to do with that data? So it is to turn data into action. And this is for strategic decision making. Because you want to make informed decisions, you want to be able to see where you are coming from, and of course now, based on the data that you have gathered, where are you going as an organization? So in this case, the analytics can help to increase revenue. Let's say if you have like a sales department, how can you be able to reach to the existing platform in terms of cross-selling and upselling? What other opportunities are there apart from maybe the markets that you have already captured? So this is going to help big time. And then again, identify new customers or markets, because from the trends that you have captured, you can tell that maybe from the information that you have, most of our customers are coming from this particular area. And then based on those needs, then you can see the system is going to inform you what do we need to do. Maybe in the coming years, what do we need to come up with? So this is going to help you to come up with new markets and of course optimize prices at the end of the day. Because based on the buying patterns, then you can see what changes do you need to make based on the data. Then of reducing costs, this is going to minimize risk and improve productivity, because you are sure that the market that you are operating in, you've already captured them, you've addressed their needs, because customer experience is also very critical. Are you addressing my needs as a customer? Yes. Are you giving me that listening ear? Yes. So you are improving that through the data that you are getting from your customers. Then the value addition in the different verticals in sales and marketing about the demand, so you can be able to see what you need to do in terms of the campaigns within the organization. And in human resources, you are seeing the patterns in terms of turnover. So what do you need to do? Are there some improvements that need to be done in human resource, and of course now in resource management? So you can be able to do that. So this can help in terms of performance management, pay structure, and compensation analysis. What are the needs that you have? So you can be able to pick this from the data that you have gathered through the systems. And of course in finance, visualizing profit and growth drivers, and all the cost outliers. So this is in a bid to see how you can grow the organization. And of course, as you grow, you are also growing with your customers and with your employees. So generally, data-driven decision making under uncertainty. So it's very important and very critical to see the trends and to study the trends based on the information and the data that you have. Then last but not least, I just want to speak about the automated medical scheme management solution, which is our key solution. So the first thing that it provides is guaranteed member identification. This is now a solution for healthcare management. I know that maybe you provide a medical cover to your staff. So in this case now is to ensuring that you are sure the members that you are covered are the same members who are accessing healthcare services. So what we do is that we provide a biometrically enabled smart card, and at the moment we have implemented the system at over 3,300 healthcare service providers across the country. And this is across all the 47 counties in the country, and all the countries that I've mentioned that are using the system. And then, so you are sure now, once the member has been issued the card, it is only the member and the family that are using the cover, because you don't want to incur losses by having other people who are not on cover. Because I know that sometimes we are fond of maybe introducing relatives or friends to access the cover. But in this case, you are sure it's only the bona fide members who are accessing. And of course, the benefit verification before service, so you have that visibility of how much you have been allocated and how you need to take care of that. There's also benefit management of the system, rules and exclusions, because I know that for any cover, you are only allowed to access what has been allocated. So there are things that are not covered. An example is cosmetics. So with that now the system is able to manage that. So the moment the person presents himself at the pharmacy, then they are not able to access that particular service. And then member cancellation. So for member management, it is easy because it is real time. So if today maybe I'm a member of the organization and I happen now to exit, then immediately my scheme administrator or the HR can quickly log into the system and deactivate. So that means that I will not be able to use that cover anywhere. So the advantage of that is that it is real time and it ensures that there is cost savings at the end of the day. For activations, maybe for some reason the cover period lapsed and instructions were not given. So it can be quickly activated before even the cover period is over, so that members continue to enjoy the medical benefits of the medical cover. And then there's the service provider management. This is control on access. Now to the hospitals where we implemented, they're supposed to share a report after every month or depending with the agreement with the scheme administrator. Then the online management information, so you get the e-claims and the online reports. This is to ensure that you are informed, because the system is able now to give you information of what has been happening. So in that case, based on the data that you have captured within the financial year, it will inform the budgeting process as well. How has your expenditure been within the last financial year? And therefore, as you plan for the coming year, what budget do you need to set aside? And this is, of course, to ensure that you have systems that are working for you, because I know that sometimes it's very easy to forget some things, but with the smart system, then you are fully automated and everything moves seamlessly. So that, in a nutshell, is what we wanted to capture, ensuring that we embrace technology to ease our processes and, of course, to be able to enhance our day-to-day activities. So thank you very much.
Thank you. As we do in Malakisi. I want to say thank you very much to Smart Solutions and John Goloma. Let's give him another round of applause. I think here what we are saying is, as security companies, we can customize even to the level of our medical benefits. You always used to wonder when you used to go to a health facility or institution about your encounter and how that technology was integrated across the nation on the smart card. The solution is sitting in this room. We're going to provide for all our security directors who are present, also those who are virtual. Thank you very much for those who are joining us virtually. We want to say that yes, there may be having some small challenges with sound. We hope you're now hearing us very clear. I see all the interaction, and please continue to send in your questions. We'll be answering all the questions at the end of today's session. My concern for us is this: do we have enough time to adopt technology once? Now that question should not be answered by me. We have Nyasha and the entire Adapt IT team in the room. So at the table to your left, we have the Smart Solutions team, with your hands, and we have the Adapt IT team that can be able to answer questions. If there's something confidential you want us to discuss, we also have a green room that's available, so you can also have a quiet discussion so that you can create your own trade secrets with the teams that are available in the room. So at any time, feel free. Last but not least, Serena, who is a wonderful host to us, still has a lot of snacks, pastries, juice, tea, and coffee available. So please continue drinking. Next speaker on board, and since this is a regional mixed reality, which means virtual and physical event, we are now going to welcome, if they are ready, our tech support all can let us know if they're completely ready. Mr. Lawrence Dyer from South Africa has been with us since 8 a.m. He has been watching, listening, and engaging with the team. And just like we did with GPOS, we're now going to bring on Adapt IT from South Africa, live to Nairobi, Kenya, for a presentation on Adapt IT, the changes in technology. What is going to make your security firm the security firm of demand in this country? In a competing environment, it's critical that you have a leading edge. For your next tender, your next business contract, your leading edge will determine who you are going to be in the future. We have also not just the people who provide for this, we also have people like Brenda, the Australian High Commission represented over here. He's a client with a very high degree of requirements. And of course, he will definitely check with a very careful microscope what kind of solutions are you bringing. Are they only relevant for today, or will they be relevant for tomorrow? Are they relevant? We all know that in Kenya is no hidden secret. Our Chairman Kenneth Makame talked about it, as we are stepping into 2022. If we are stepping into 2022, as a security company, and with all your thousands of guards, and with all your clients, are you ready? Are you able to give your real-time reporting? are you able to structure? Well, there's some physical solutions, there's some technology solutions that will help you to be able to engage and to be able to do that, both from smart and adaptive. I want to also explain that they work hand in hand. So we integrate both. We integrate the hardware, we integrate the software, we integrate the Internet of Things, we integrate the artificial intelligence, and the solution is provided. So we will be one step ahead of the pack if we can adopt these solutions. Now, at risk of belaboring, I think that's my voice echoing from South Africa. I did not know that I sound so good. You know, somebody said, if you hear your name, just say, yes, Lord, yeah, I might be your time to be called. But the one thing I can't point out of this entire session today, up to this point, is that the person who has an inbuilt subwoofer built into his voice is the Honorable Nyasha. We all envy such a voice. One of us was saying, how come you're not on media with a voice like that? So we have God-given gifts, but we need technology to support that. Nyasha, the use of technology will support that. Are we ready, South Africa? Mr. Lawrence Dyer is about to join us. He's about to walk us through the Easyroster program item. That is the digital transformation of the workforce with Easyroster. Lawrence, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
How is South Africa? We can hear you clearly.
Okay, it's a bit chilly.
I don't think it's colder than Nairobi. We threw Nairobi into the freezer.
I hear you guys are on 17 degrees there.
Yes, this is what we call baby making weather. So we want to welcome you on board as you walk us through. Ladies and gentlemen, with a round of applause, let's welcome Mr. Lawrence Dyer. I know you want to say Dyer. And let's say Dyer. No, not Dyer. Dyer. Lawrence Dyer. Welcome, Lawrence. Take it away.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much to the previous speakers. And we really are honored to be included in this session. I am joined by Daniel Bratz, and he is the product manager for Easyroster in South Africa. And he'll be assisting me throughout the demo. I'll go as slow as possible. Obviously, I'll try to stick to the time allocated. And then obviously we can then address questions towards the end. Okay, I've shared my slide. Can you all see the slide? Okay, perfect. Just give me a few seconds. Okay. The general overview of the system or of Easyroster is that we are able to assist managers in labor-intensive industries plan and post-shift workers as efficiently as possible, and the view is to minimize wage costs and maximize profits. We've had the previous speakers, especially from G4S, mentioning that we need to be very cost conscious, and obviously, if we get to minimize our costs, we would get to increase our bottom line. We achieve this by planning and posting the correct number of personnel per shift, of the correct grade or skill, for the correct number of hours at the correct sites or posts. And Easyroster is currently used in over 29 countries across Africa and the Middle East, and G4S is a testament to that. We basically have two products, the main system being Easyroster, and within Easyroster we have features, and what we're going to do is I am later on going to log onto the system, and then we're going to touch on all those features. Now, those features are designed, to solve problems that we're currently experiencing. So some of those features are contract management, human resource management, management reporting, integration with payroll systems, in Sage, staff scheduling per location, time and attendance per location, and as well as leave and absence management. And the second system is what we refer to as Prtm, or Easyroster Deployment Manager. And basically what that application does is it integrates with clocking technologies, and you're able to do automatic attendance on the system. And obviously we're also able to integrate with other systems. This is when we then partner with smart applications to actually do your automatic attendance. The services that we provide support. We also provide training and consultation. And some of the Kenyan clients that have used Easyroster, some of them are currently using it. And we've had testimony from G4S. We also have Securex, Expo, WS Insight, and Security Group Africa. And then the industries that we serve, 55% of it is from in the security industry. Also have cleaning, facilities management, landscaping, and booking clients currently on the system. So we are able to cater over about the security industry. And I'm going to just quickly touch on the requirements. Basically, we require the system is a Windows application, which is on-premise, but also hosted on a cloud server. And the server needs to have 8 gigabytes of RAM or above. And then the workstations, obviously, workstation that linked to the database needs to be a minimum 4 gig RAM. We require a Windows 10 Pro, and the system doesn't work too well on the augmentation of Windows, and preferably a 64-bit version. And when touching on connectivity or software requirements, the system is network-based. So in an environment where you are in the office, we will be able to link those workstations, obviously on the same network that the server is on. You could also remotely log into the system by two means, the one being terminal services via your remote connection, or you will be able to set up a VPN network and then you'll be able to securely log onto the system from where you are. The system runs with Microsoft SQL to run the application, and the server or the workstations need to have Microsoft Office due to the reports that we would be running from the system. And I think the biggest conversation is really around costs. And testimony from G4S, I think Elijah gets to how do we manage leave? Leave is one of those costs that, where we can save money. So what we're typically saying is, and he did mention that your biggest expense is on people. So wages is our our biggest expense, and it forms 72% of our expenses. And add to that overheads on average of about 20%, we're looking at 92% expenses, and that leaves you with a very small room of 8% GP. So really the focus with the system is to be able to manage our wage costs, which are 72% in this case. And the biggest argument is if we don't have proper processes in place, that 72% can easily get to 80%. Now, you can imagine if your costs are 80%, add to the 20% of overheads, that typically means you are left with nothing. So the biggest concern or focus is around how do we manage our workforce. And Easyroster is a perfect tool that will be assisting you in making sure you manage your costs. Okay, and then I'm about to then log onto the system so that you can go through the different features of the system. If you can just give me a few seconds to switch between the screens. Okay, I've shared my Easyroster screen. It's confirmed if you can see it's a gray screen. Most people refer to it as a gray screen. Okay, so we're going to start off with the setup options. And what basically happens is we go to the potential options and we are able to configure or set up what we refer to as wage rule. Now, wage rule is typically how do we pay our employees. Now, I'm going to just quickly go through an example. We are able to adapt to any labor regulation. So what we have on the screen there is Monday to Saturday, the system or the wage rule is configured to pay at a normal rate, Sunday at a rate and a half, and your holiday at a double rate. We are able to change those options so that they adapt to how you guys process your wages. And then the next item that we're going to touch on is on grades. Now, grades, we refer to them as ranks in the company, levels of it's typically your job levels. We are able to create, for instance, the chief rank, superintendent, commander, risk officer, etc. We are able to then, specify what they get paid rate per hour and what their basic wage is. And then the next item is on shifts. This shift will be available for us to use either on roster or on what we refer to as attendance. We've got day shift and night shift, and then over and above that, we've got the absent shift, annual leave, and your family leave. And I'll just touch on absent shift, and which talks back to what Elijah has referred to absenteeism. Are we able to manage absenteeism, accurately? So if we capture absent for an employee, then the system can be, configured to subtract the person's wage. Question is the instances where people are absent and that they would possibly mean that they still get paid for that shift. So the system will automatically deduct that shift being absent. The next feature that I'm going to touch on is site maintenance. Now, there is no limit of how many sites you'll be able to load in Easyroster. We are going to use, in this instance, Westland Mall as our demo site. And then within the site features, we need to define the site ID and the site name and area it belongs to. So Westland Mall in this case belongs to the area west. You are able to create ops area according to geographical area, or you can alternatively create it, create your ops area according to your area managers. And this allows us to run reports according to the area manager or according to the geographical area. The next item that we're going to touch on is the contract detail. It refers to the last slide that I touched on, that refers to managing costs. So in this option, you'll be able to see what your wage to revenue is. And it's a feature that actually we're very proud of in Easyroster. It allows you to do forecasting. Now, what we refer to as forecasting is to be in a position to do your rosters well into the future. I mean, there's no limit on how far in the future you can do your rosters, which is an ability that currently we don't have. We might be able to do rosters for the next 3 months, but if Easyroster is able to see what that roster will cost you are then in a position to make informed decision based on what those rosters will cost you. Shift defaults, we basically define your day shift and your night shift. On requirements, this is your contractual agreements with the client. In this case, for day shift, you require a commander, one commander Sunday to Saturday. And for night shift, we require 3 commanders from Saturday to Saturday. Now, this will also guide the guideline when we're doing rosters or when we're doing attendance or when we're doing posting, to ensure that we post the correct number up to the agreement with the client. Okay, and then moving further, other requirements, basically there what we do is we then load or create items or assets that have been updated to a site. At the time, we're not aware what assets have been added to the site, be able to monitor from the point of view. Allowances basically says for Western Mall site, these are the 2 allowances that are paid in that site. On skills, I've actually made a tick on driver's license. So this typically means the driver's license is a requirement in our Western Mall site. So there could be other qualification skills that are needed in any specific site. We will be able to assign those skills and ensure that when we do posting, when we do rosters, we roster people that are qualified for the site. The next feature is exclusions. Now, an exclusion for us, one is excluded from Western Mall because the client is not happy with one's behavior. And I know that we've got such instances where the client, sends you a request, us politely to not send something through to the site because of whatever issue they might have had. Or you also exclude a person because they are not qualified for the site. So you'll be able to process that information. It will then highlight to you, you do actually post the person and tell you, please note that this person is excluded from the site. And that's it on site maintenance. Moving on to personnel maintenance. This is where we would load all our employees, and then you would be able to manage each employee in respect of the records. On bonds options, we need to note the company number. I know that we refer to this in different names. Others call it a personnel number, others call it a company number. This would typically match or needs to match what we have for payroll system, because when you're doing your export or when you're doing payroll, it links all of our employees according to company numbers. Belongs to Area West, his name and surname, and his date of birth and night number. And we have the option to display pictures of employees if we need to. He's got a high school diploma, and he belongs to Weinberg Stores. His job title is a commander, and he's a grade contract chief. Started with the company in 2003. And the next step refers to we need to note the contact numbers of the employee and the physical address of the employee. And on personal notes, we typically note an extra of key information in case something happens to one. We would be able to then contact the family and let them know if there's anything that they need to be aware of. And the next step refers to the wage detail. He's currently getting paid $18.25. Just please note that the amount that you're going to see are in rand value. Just so that you don't get confused. The next item is on leave, and I think I'm referring to leave now for the third time. We are able to monitor annual leave. So in this case, James Bond accrues 1.25 days a month. He currently has 10 days of leave. And what will happen is the system will accumulate and add on every month until he builds on a number of leave days. When he then needs to be sent on leave, we will capture leave on the system. After that, we'll be able to pull a report that will show the opening balance date that were taken and what his closing balance is. He currently has the skills currently displayed on the screen. What is important with the skills is we are able to monitor when a certain skill expires. In this instance, we referring to driver's license. It expires in 2025, and in a position to pull reports on a monthly basis to see which skill is about to expire, and then you remind your employees or you request that they submit a valid qualification or a valid certificate. The next item is allowances. Bond gets paid those two allowances. We are able to create as many allowances as we pay, and it will be configured exactly how it should be paid. And then on earnings, it's a feature that allows us to pay our bonuses or incentives. And on evaluations, I've actually done two examples for us. One on the 1st of January was caught sleeping on duty, and he was given a final written warning, which expires 2022. And he was also given a compliment because he actually had a customer service. So what basically saying there is this is a feature where we would report all the incidents pertaining to a certain employee, be it for late coming or insubordination, all those would be to be captured, and it will then build on a behavior on each of the employees. He is also excluded from Western Mall because the client was happy with his behavior. Okay, moving on. The next feature basically is what we refer to is this is the foundation of rosters. This feature allows you to do your rosters into future. I mean, you can do a whole of 2022's roster if you've got the time, but the feature does allow it. So what we are presented with is a day requirement and a night requirement. If you can remember when we spoke about the site options. In this case, the client, which is Western, requires 1 day shift and 3 night shift. Basically, the colors refer to the green means you have allocated the correct number as per the requirement. And where we have a yellow color means we have not allocated enough, so we are short. And then there's another color which will be introduced now in a couple of seconds, which is red, and that refers to having allocated more than the client requires. We also need to be cognizant of that because the client requires 1 and we send him 2. That additional person, it comes out of your pocket. It's your expense, not the customer's expense. So we need to be very conscious of making sure that we send right numbers to. And we can see that James doesn't have a pattern. And what we just need to do is allocate him a pattern, which is a 2-day, 2-night, 2 off. And as soon as we do that, we see the color. All we basically need to do is we just need to slide the pattern like a puzzle so that it fits in where the shortages. Now, as soon as we all have the green color means we have allocated according to the contract with the client. And with this intent will then let you do your rosters well into the future. And I will just show you quickly how the process happens. I've now logged on to open my Easyroster roster, and we're going to go in this instance. We're going to run a roster for August. So let's select my one side, and then you select the dates that you're doing. So it's 5th of August. until the 31st of August. And then all you do is just click OK. In a matter of seconds, you have your roster done for you. Now, the roster is obviously based on what allocated. Then the only thing that you need to do on a monthly basis is just to your auto people roster, which will give you this sort of. Okay, as soon as your roster is done and you're happy with the roster, what you can do, we can then print a roster, and it's for August. And then you have your roster. You can either print it directly to your printer. We have an option also of exporting to Excel or export to PDF, and then you'll be in a position to email the roster or print it out. And we just do quickly before we move on. Okay. And you also have an ability to print an attendance register, which will then be per person. It will display the month. The month doesn't necessarily have to be the first to the 31st. It could be any range of dates that applies to the individual companies. We will see where he's rostered, and then we've got the payment, firearm payment, time on and signature, time off signature. We also have what referred to as a posting sheet. The posting sheet just for a couple of days. And then we can then see the posting sheet, which can be printed. And what will happen is it will display the people that have been rostered for a specific shift. And all we need to do to confirm is the status column will say present or absent. And then if there's a replacement, then we'll add the replacement another column. Now I'm going to touch on EMPM a bit later on. This is where we'll be then utilizing the services of smart applications. This is a manual way of doing attendance, and I'm going to touch on the automated side of attendance. And like I mentioned, this will then include, this is why we've now partnered with smart applications. That process will then replace posting sheets, because then when the employees get on site, they would be clocking in on the device, and then their attendance will then be connected and integrated into the system. Okay, so we are done with the two reports. I think the most important one would be your key performance. And just to quickly show you how the key performance is critical to the operation. It's good and well we're able to do rosters in a couple of seconds, but it would be even better if we know the cost related to that roster. So we're just going to play around the part side. Okay, so what we're looking at, and please remember, I'm just going to remind you again, the costs that we're looking at are in rand value, or in South African rands. So what we're looking at is for our demo site, Westland Mall. The client pays 53,000, and our wage cost currently is the roster that we should be. The target is 29,000. Unfortunately, we've rostered 34,000. So obviously, there's an issue somewhere. We should be rostering 29,150, but we currently, for August, the cost is 34,064 cents. 64 rand, sorry. And we've allocated 1,488 hours. So that's the requirement. And we've also scheduled according to that requirement. And the issue is why do we then, why is the roster costing more than what target should be? And the next column says correct grades, and the system says no. So we need to have a look at what happened, and we're also planning to pay 16 hours of overtime. So to have a bit more understanding, we can do a cost comparison report. For the same month, and please note that this is for the August month. So it gives you the ability to see your costs before you commit to the cost. So let's just do one side. Okay, so it says the requirement, the first row of information, we require 1,488 hours of commander, but we've allocated 240 of chief, superintendent 252, and 252 of risk officers. So basically, what we say there is your other ranks cost you more than your commander, and then cost is then inflated to 34,000. And looking at it's currently 64% the cost is 64%. And at the bottom, we then have the employees that are rostered, the Western Mall, and then all the hours that have been rostered for 208, which before that's normal hours. And then you also have 36 hours of Sunday PIT, and then at the end we've got 5384. This is the anticipated payment for PIT, and then we have 6503 for pay. So it gives you a gross pay at the end of the month, at the end of August. And if you're happy with the cost, obviously we would need to fix and make sure that we roster the correct rank of employee, so that we stick within cost. In this case, we should be spending about 55%. We're currently sitting on 54. Okay, so that's the roster part of the system. We then move on to attendance. Now, we've got an automated feature as well on attendance. Okay, so basically what it does is, and we're looking at Western Mall again in this case, instead of individually on each person, going and saying they were on duty, we've got an automated function, which I'm just going to do for us for a couple of days just to see how that works. And then all we do is just click OK, and then it automatically does attendance for us. Now, obviously, we hope that we've done the plan beforehand, and then we expect that the employees will report into the plan. And what happens mostly is obviously nothing goes according to plan in some cases more than the other. So in this case, James, the site confirmed that on the 10th, it didn't come through. So we're going to capture unpaid or absent for him. And the comment there is, the dog ate my shoes, and we know that there's so many crazy reasons given by our employees on why they couldn't come or why they couldn't fulfill their shift. And then the following day, what happened was he said to us he was sick, and he never submitted a hospital note. So we're giving him an unpaid shift, and then we say no note submitted. Okay, and then when he finally decides to report, he reported an hour late. So what we'll do is we're going to give him an hour. His issue was he had exit issues. Okay, so this would be the process that gets done on a daily basis. This is us confirming attendance. Now, please just note again that I will later touch on deployment manager. So this would be the manual way of doing attendance, which should typically be done on a daily basis. That means by the end of the month, the payroll is almost ready. We do not wait until the end of the month to run around collecting timesheets and manually capturing on Excel. We bill on the time period on a daily basis. And then in case James queries that he wasn't paid certain days, we include the timesheet, and then the timesheet will then show the days when he should have reported the days that he's getting paid for, and then we can see that on Saturday the dog ate his shoes, so he couldn't come through, and then on the 11th he wasn't duty, he was unpaid sick, and he did not submit a hospital note, and we're paying him 11 hours because he was an hour late. And then at the end of the timesheet, we've got a summary, which we refer to as well as payslip. We've got normal hours, and Sunday hours 24 is getting paid 88 worth of hours. He's worked 10 shifts for the month. His rate per hour is 18.25, and his basic wage is 3797. And we're deducting or subtracting from his salary 237 because of the days that he was absent. Okay, so that would be your manual way of doing attendance. I'm just going to quickly show you our deployment manager, which should be integrating your attendance from devices. So I'm just going to quickly show you the application. Now the application will have sites and have devices. What you can also note that is you can have out of your site, you can have 10 of them on devices, and you can still have the other sites on the main process. So what we're looking at there is our SAA domestic departures site. And we've got Walker Roy rostered for the 7th, 6 to 6. And we have Steve rostered 6 to 6 for night shift. So it shows you the rosters, and then right at the bottom it shows you that's the requirement for our SAA domestic departures is 1. We've rostered 1. And they haven't posted any. So what I'm going to show you is how smart applications will revolutionize how we're doing attendance. And I will just quickly go into. I'm going to share my entire screen so that you guys can see the application. Okay, so we're looking at the Deployment Manager app and sites that have devices. We're currently looking at SAA domestic departures, and we've got for the 7th, Walker and Roy and Steve rostered, and then we can see that the requirement for the site is 1. We scheduled 1, and then we haven't posted it yet. So this will then apply where we've got smart applications devices on site. What this does is it simulates a clocking device on site. So this typically be one of our command application devices. And we're going to simulate a clocking for Roy. Okay. And I'm going to display the application. And if you can look, the page says actual shift and actual time. So what I'm doing now is actually simulating a check-in or a clock-in. And this will be at 6:05, for instance. So this is when Roy gets to the site, and then it logs in either by fingerprint, either by facial recognition, or by RFID. And then I'm just going to simulate a check-in for us quickly. And then as soon as we do that, we can now see that Roy has clocked in at 06:05 in the morning. And, this is, as I'm saying, it visualizes how we then do attendance. We can see in real time when our employees are on site, instead of now depending on the supervisor confirming when everybody is on duty, we are able to see that. We would be the ones that are actually contact the site and asking where Roy is because he hasn't logged in. What we can also do is we can simulate a clock out, and it will be at 6 in the evening, so maybe at 18:05. So we simulate the clock out, and in real time it shows the clock out at 1800 in the evening. So the devices, replaces our posting sheet, replaces the manual attendance. In this case, we then start doing attendance automatically with the system. And if we can look at our X-ray domestic site, this is just an example. We can see that in visual fact we can set notifications. So PRTM will notify you if the site is short. In this case, it says I'm short posted one person, and then what we'll just simulate quickly for Jack. So we need to then follow up with Jack and find out where it is. In this case, I'm just going to show you how that notification can be processed. We're going to that side, and then we must look for Jack. And then Jack clocked in 6:05. And then we send a simulation. For X-ray and Jack. Okay.
Lawrence, you need to check in.
Let me just do that quickly. Oh, did I check? Oh, sorry. You don't know? Okay, so we going to check in. Jack. And 06. Okay, so Jack has checked in, and you can see that the notification goes up. So you can have the confidence that the system will, instead of you logging into the system and running reports, the system automatically highlight to you notifications. You can set up notifications to highlight if you are short on the site or if you are overposted to the site. So you can set those notifications so that you can have the information readily available. Okay, so that's the deployment manager, how it helps you with doing your attendance automatically as compared to your manual attendance. And we're going to go back to the system. And the other feature of Easyroster is I've done an example for us actually for Bond. Bond has been issued with shared trousers and shoes. We noted the quantity of the issue and the sizes as well. And the reason is that it's being reissued with uniform. And now as soon as that is done, we are able to go into our assets. And we then be able to print an authorization report. And one will then sign that I've received these items on that date. It was authorized by whoever has the issue. The other nice feature that you can do is excuse me, do a reissue list. So we're going to run a reissue list for 2022. And then this report will actually be able to show us which officers or which employees are due for reissue. And then you will have a list of all the people that needs to be reissued with uniform. Then what you can typically do is make sure that you've got the sizes available so that when they come for reissue, they've got that size available. And we don't want to tell them back and say, we don't have the sizes, need to the sizes. Excuse me. And then, okay, so that's pertaining to uniform issue. When we're done with attendance, we're done with attendance for the month, we are able to export to more than 18 payroll systems. And what I'm going to show you quickly is an export to so we are able to export to payroll systems, or alternatively, we can actually export to Excel. And we can see, I mean, it takes a few seconds to report. Is paid for them. The Sundays was worked, holiday hours worked. And then it shows at the end, including all your allowances that needs to be paid for the month, and your total hours at the end of the month. Excuse me. And I hope I haven't missed anything, and I hope I'm still within allocated time. Daniel, is there anything that I've missed on that you want to reiterate?
No, Lawrence, that's good. Thank you so much.
Okay, and before
I think we can wrap up, Lawrence.
Yeah, let me just wrap up quickly. I'll just go back to my slide. So the big question is, I know that you guys have pens and checks ready to sign up. And before we do, we're just going to quickly, in a few minutes, just go through the process and the price list. So the
Lawrence, I think we can call it there. That can be addressed in the Q&A. You can call it now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for the opportunity.
Okay, thank you so much, Lawrence, and thank you, Daniel, our team from South Africa, Adapt IT. Let's give them a round of applause. We're now moving straight into question and answers, and so I'll ask if there's anybody who has questions. Let's take the first set of questions. We will then progress to closing this session. It was a breakfast session. And we would not like to scroll over into lunch. We respect your time, and we want to honor the time that you spent with us. So, from the room, any questions to Adapt IT and to Smart Solutions? Kindly raise your hand so that I can run over with the microphone so that the question can be answered by Daniel, by Lawrence in South Africa, by Sylvia here, as well as by John from Smart. Any questions in the room on the solutions that have been presented today? Okay, in some of our breakouts that we've been having constantly through today's breakfast, we've also learned that a number of you have actually previously used Easyroster while working in different companies. So I think that was a very big plus for us to be able to be aware of that. So just for the edification of Daniel and Lawrence, we do have directors in this room that have had experience. This is not a new solution. They know the value of Easyroster. I'll now open for any questions or comments from the room. Just raise your hand. Currently, no questions. I think everybody is happy. One question.
bring activities to other sectors. So can we customize that perhaps some of these needs that we need to regarding aspects of it?
Thank you very much. Lawrence, I don't know if you heard the question. The question was, is the solution only for security guarding, or can it be customized for a school or academic solution? Are we able to tailor-make this to the needs of a physical learning institution? Is that question clear? So we can start off maybe with Lawrence, and then we can come back into the room if Smart also has an answer to that. Let's start off with Lawrence.
Thank you for the question. Indeed, we are able to cater for schools. We are able to cater for shift-based environments. So the system is not designed specifically for security.
Go ahead, John.
So yes, the system can be used can be customized for schools, especially the time and attendance, because I know that right now you want to be sure that your kid has arrived to school, so we integrate it to an SMS service. So the moment the kids get to school, they clock in. Therefore, a notification is sent to the parent confirming that they have arrived to school. The moment they get it, maybe they're coming for their winter break or they're closing on for whatever reason, another notification is here, so that you are aware as a parent that your kid is on the way home. So yes, it is.
Thank you so much.
You see, we have all kidnapping going on in private schools. Actually, a very serious issue. And I don't know whether anyone has thought about it in that manner. Because as a parent, you're very keen to know, are your kids safe? Have they got it? They're so busy eating, and sometimes you realize something that's passing by. So I think moving forward, this is something that people need to think about, because we have a crime coming up that is so severe. It is a solution, I think, in academic setups that, and I think this is a discussion we need to have in our so that we can be able to actually bring the awareness of children in institutions that there's a solution like this. I'm actually happy that it can actually be adapted in different circumstances. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. There being no other questions in the room, I ascend to the platform for the very last time. Thank you, Paul. I'm now going to invite one of our directors, very honorable member of the security community for many decades, to give a vote of thanks on behalf of this meeting. Thank you, Lawrence. Thank you, Daniel in South Africa. Mr. Dan Ateto, kindly step up to the podium and give a vote of thanks on behalf of security directors and members of PROSAC. And do so with all the demeanor that you can muster. So thank you so much, gentlemen and ladies. Mr. Dan Ateto, let's give him a round of applause.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nilan, although that was a big surprise. I was enjoying my fruit. Ladies and gentlemen, as you have been told, my name is Dan Ateto. I run a company called Eagle Security Services. Not all of us can fit the CBD, so some of us are outside. So I work from Kitengela. Please, when you are in Kitengela, remember this place. And there you know what Kitengela is known for. Come and share with us. The basic I was taught in security is that security rotates on three things. That is the guard, the man, the procedure, that is the SOP, and then the security systems. This is what we're learning about. So I think this is very relevant for all of us as service providers or as trainers. And I think I've learned a lot. And I think I really want to thank the PROSAC family this great learning opportunity. And I encourage you, encourage everybody else who's listening, that for sure, systems is the way to go, is the way forward. It's no longer time for a guard and a room. That is now outdated. Our clients are looking for business security. What value can you add to this business? And I think the old mentality of guard and a room is now outdated. So, on behalf of PROSA and on behalf of the family that is here, I wish to sincerely thank you for taking your time to come and wish you all the best. Business is very difficult now. Let's not go there, but we all know where we are headed. And we pray that every one of us will have it easy until the easy time returns. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. We have now given the vote of thanks, and it is time for the grand raffle. I'd like to, my great privilege, invite Sylvia to the front. Sylvia from Adapt IT, let's give her a hand. That handshake might actually be your cake. It might be your meal. You know, Sylvia, we were told we have to support the ladies, so allow me to hold that for you. And then I will give you the microphone. Are you sure? Okay, we're giving a 30-second last option for you to throw in your business card. It is not in here. And I'm counting down. 30, 29, 28, 27, 26, 25, 24, 23, 22, 21, 20, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, T minus 10 seconds, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, the PROSEC Adapt IT Smart Solutions Grand Raffle July 2021 as led by Sylvia. Before she puts her hand in the bowl, we'll shake it. This is a transparent process. In a transparent bowl, there's no leaking. We're not shaking it. The treasurer has said we must shake it. Shake it, shake it. How is shaking it? Yeah, it has been shaken properly. Now I'm handing over for Sylvia to lead by her last few words from Adapt IT. Then she will put her hand in the bowl and select 2 winners. Close your eyes.
So, thank you very much for the session. For your attendance, we appreciate your time. We understand your stuff, we are all in this together, and we are ready to support whenever we can. So, thank you very much, and good luck to everyone.
Before you put your hand in the bowl, moments of anticipation, Sylvia. Drum rolls. Ladies and gentlemen, before you leave this room, please ensure for our corporate members that you meet with Bonaweru, who will issue you with the official lapel pin. You can also make your commitment towards our processes that are ongoing. After that, please pass through the Adapt IT desk to the left, collect your gift bags, and also the Smart Solutions. Smart Solutions can confirm that we are now live with the devices. So with all the biometrics, you can actually test the solution live right there, and then you may be able to leave the room. Now, with no further ado, winner number 1, with her eyes closed, Sylvia is about to pick the winning card. There are 2, okay, and she's going to read it out for us. I will not read this.
Mr. Charles Oworo.
Can we have the gift being brought to the front? Thank you. Sorry. The first gift is in an envelope. Ladies and gentlemen, Charles, kindly receive. Dinner or lunch at the Nairobi Serena Hotel. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause. God bless you. Okay, so Charles is a proud recipient. Our recipient number 2, second prize, not over. You get a break. Sylvia's closed her eyes. She's looking very hard. She's also trying to fill the card. Maybe if your card is important, you might be lucky. Okay, somebody's card has come up. Please read it.
Installation King.
Which company?
From Rainbow Fashion.
Congratulations! Rainbow, karibu. Makofi kwa haya. Let's give him a round of applause as he comes up to receive his. Congratulations. Here's the gift coming up. 1 kilogram. Okay, imagine going home with a 1 kilo cake on a Friday. God bless you. Thank you going home. Somebody said he's not going home. Okay. Thank you so much, Sylvia. I'll hand over the ball back to you together with the card of the winner over there and say thank you. Let's appreciate Sylvia. Now, we will be having more events coming up. Actually, we have another event scheduled in August, and we will be having more interaction. But I would like to take the opportunity to say goodbye to our friends online, on social media. I know so many of us wanted to be here. It was impossible for us to have everybody physically present. We could not have everybody physically present due to COVID rules. So we've tried as much as possible to bring just a few subsets of our directors into the room, and then later on we will see as the COVID pandemic relaxes if we can have our normal kind of meetings. But otherwise, for now, it is my very great pleasure to come to the close of this meeting. Paul, can you assist us on the podium? So, Charles, you're still looking at the voucher. I want to preach to you. It's better to give than to receive. The German is complaining because his card was not magnetically fixed. His card could not be fixed magnetically. So, ladies and gentlemen, as we come to a close and in respect of this glorious